intolerable dependence on foreign oil threatens our economic independence and the very security of our nation. The energy crisis is real. It is worldwide. It is a clear and present danger to our nation. These are facts, and we simply must face them.
The U.S. economy is interrupted by both actual and perceived commodity shortages. Carter announces possible rationing, and in the context of these growing concerns, AABE is born.
The most important thing we wanted was to make sure that if there were a rationing system put in place, that black folks would not be at the bottom of the system. That is what galvanized us to get started in the first place.
A number of us who were connected to the Urban League, to the NAACP, to other civil rights organizations began to see that energy was also a civil rights issue because the rising costs of energy and the dwindling supply hit our communities probably as hard as anyone.
Basically, we were interested in getting the attention of the Carter administration first and educating the leadership in the community at the same time. So that puts you at the table of the working committees of the Urban League and the NAACP.
We said that the solution has to lie in improving the availability of the resources so that energy will not become an impediment, become a barrier to the continued growth and development of opportunities for underprivileged and previously left out people.
Clark Watson understood that AABE could be the think tank for the NAACP and the Urban League on energy issues. He recognized that the Washington Circle, the Beltway, inside the Beltway Circle, were communicating with various constituencies except Afro-Americans.
The main impetus for, I think, the creation of the organization was to get a seat at the table and to have a perspective included in the deliberations that would wind up with some decisions about how we were going to deal with this energy problem.
There was a woman president of the NAACP, Margaret Bush Wilson. She helped us establish the NAACP Energy Committee.
Actually, there were quite a few organizations that were concerned about this, the NAACP and the Urban League, but also the Joint Center as a think tank, and academic institutions, corporate institutions where blacks were beginning to finally appear in senior positions. So we began to say to ourselves, do we need an association that would bring all of us in the African American community who were interested in this issue together? And so we had a panel at one of our meetings. This is about June of 1977, in which we resolved to form an association, and that was under the leadership of Clark Watson out of Denver. Very, very articulate initial spokesman for this new organization that we were calling the American Association of Blacks in Energy.
So we met at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, and many of us were coming together for the first time. Of course, those who knew the Washington dynamics knew time was of the essence. So it started from there. We hit the ground running, and we didn't look back for several years. We just kept going.
Eventually, we were able to get the NAACP to issue a statement about energy and making sure that there were equitable supplies. And in doing that, they mentioned that Rufus McKinney with Southern California Gas and Bob Bates with Mobil were the ones that had advised the NAACP.
Bob Bates had been on the staff of Senator Kennedy, I believe, at some point, so that learning experience kicked in. Rufus ran the Washington office Okay, Tom Hart, he had an office in the Washington office anytime he wanted to. So they understood the dynamics of Washington and the connection between Washington and New York and the media in New York, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal.
In a column raised the question, does civil rights include energy? And I mean, we were being attacked all around. I mean, the NAA was being attacked all around. It suggested, well, the NAACP has been hoodwinked by these whippersnappers who think they know something about energy. And they'll back off, but we didn't. So that's kind of what put us on the map, I think.
The other thing that we did was to engage ourselves in meeting with the members of Congress, like trade associations do, so that we would set up meetings, particularly with those members of Congress that had blacks in their constituency.
The next thing we did was to put energy on the agenda of groups that had not had it on their agenda before. And we decided the best way to do that was to kind of take AABE on a tour, in a way.
Clark and Rufus and one of our colleagues in the electric utility industry was able to get a contract from the Edison Electric Institute, which represents investor-owned electric utilities, to go around the country doing educational sessions on energy. We went to about 18 cities, and there was a little team of us who went, and Abe was right in the middle of that.
We were now able to talk to people through our newsletters, through our personal appearances, about what the industry does. And so I think that this is what got us going. The combination of the meetings with the members of the Congress, plus the materials that were being produced by the engineers and the chemists and the other professionals.
I think the wise corporate leadership began to recognize too that, wait a minute, maybe we need to listen too. These are our constituents as well.
My boss was the senior VP, I guess, at that time. And I told him what was involved. I told him that I'm going to be spending, if I do this, I'm going to be spending time. If I do this, it's going to cost money. But I want you to understand that what motivates me to do this and why I'm doing it, I think will benefit Southern California Gas Company.
I think Mobil felt there was a benefit to the company to have me involved with AABE. And in fact, I think the companies love the opportunity to be able to provide funding for the conferences and the other activities that we put on by saying that, look, we're expansive also. We realize that many of our customers are people of color, and so this is our way of showing that we support your interests and your needs.
AABE's membership began to swell in that period of 1977 to 1991. We discover that there are many more African Americans in these businesses than we thought.
We have the capacity now to do more and be more effective than we did 35 years ago, because our people are everywhere. When we started AABE, there were maybe 2 or 3 black people on public service commissions in the country. Now almost every state public service commission has, some black people there. And so they are at the table when these decisions are about the price of electricity and natural gas are being made at that level.
It was very formative because it gave us all a sense of what our capacity is collectively, if we acted together and we thought strategically together.
You look back and you smile and say, it was a lot of fun. And it worked. And it worked.
Right on. Just keep on doing what we've been doing all along, and the rest of the world is now catching up to learn and to be exposed to what many of us knew we were doing anyway.
It's your time to figure out your destiny and to implement your vision about what life can be or ought to be like for the generations that are coming with you and after you. We are all kings. Everybody is. There's nobody who's a better human being than you are. There's nobody that is a more valuable person than you. And be that.